what we're really facing is an ultimate control of everything. I think people just can't see the bigger picture. They can't really see how humankind has been played. All the problems that we have exist because they're all legislated to exist. It's been an ongoing plan for many, many years. The whole thing is a scam, and they always control both sides of whatever it is they're doing. The world is changing very rapidly now, ladies and gentlemen. It really is. There are so many wheels in motion, and there is so much going on beneath the surface that people really aren't seeing. And I'm not just referring to the smart system and the smart grid and all the stuff that's rolling out there, but so many other mechanisms that are in play to control us and to lead us into the direction that we're going. And there is quite literally so much theatrics going on at the moment that people simply aren't noticing what's happening around them. It's like so many people have simply lost their focus. So many news presenters anyway, so many researchers, so much of the truth movement. There's a real mishmash and a real surge of division happening in the truth movement at the moment. But so much of the independent media seem to have dropped the ball on this and on so many other issues. I mean, there's still a lot of people that are covering good things. There is still good voices out there, but so many voices that once seemed dependable seem to have really dropped the ball as far as the overall world situation goes. And this is, of course, as I said, due to the incredible amount of theatrics that is happening in the world today. I think people just can't see the bigger picture. They can't really see how humankind has been played. Sometimes I really step back and I look at all this and I think that if people ever really truly understood the depths of control that they are under, and honestly the closest thing I can even think of to describe our real situation is something like Plato's allegory of the cave. The change is only ever going to come from the people. It's only going to come from the people once they realize that absolutely nothing is what it seems. And in regard to our immediate predicament, the agenda here, what we're really facing is an ultimate control of everything. It's being run by a worldwide conglomerate of people who know exactly what they're doing, and it's been an ongoing plan for many, many years until people can really see this for what it is and look at the big picture for what it is. And most importantly, people have to look at government for what it is. And they seriously need to realise that all this authority is a fiction. All governments are different managerial services for corralling different sections of people. That's all these countries and borders are, all this stuff that they have got going here, folks. The situation the human race is in is such a complicated one, and it's been brought about by so many methods over such a long period of time, and it comes from so many directions that, as I said, folks, there's no way the actions of any politician are going to fix anything. Not if they continue to simply act within the parameters provided for them by the political system anyway. Not unless they use the chair to stand up and immediately shout the truth irrespective of the consequences. Then nothing's going to change. And I honestly can't see that happening. And if it doesn't happen, then the only way we're ever going to heal this situation is for people to wake up to themselves. But even saying that, what do you expect them to wake up to? And even when they do wake up to the fact that there is a control grid and that everything is not what it seems, they still don't know what to do about it. They still look to the system. They still believe they need a system. They don't understand the power of themselves, and it's so understandable why people feel this way because of what's been done to them. As I said, the control comes from so many angles, and it's almost like gaslighting that's been done to us. I mean, everything about this system is designed to make us feel inadequate, to make us feel like we're not worthy. It's done to limit our lifespan. Reintroduces the law of the jungle onto city streets, and it creates a dangerous environment for people on the street, so it creates a need for government again. It's a two-pronged approach, and they control both sides every time. And everything they bring to you that is good for you, if they're promoting it as being good for you, there's something around the corner that's bad for you, which is why they're doing it, or what they're promoting for you as being good for you is actually bad for you in itself. The whole thing is a scam, and they always control both sides of whatever it is they're doing. But these things are done to make us perceive the world to be this unstable place, and people simply don't realise that all these governments work together. They're all doing one big theatrical sideshow in order to steer the world into the direction that they want, which is in the direction of this whole smart system that's rolling out. And that's always been the plan, and they've always been working together to do it. Everything the government does, folks, they put all these mechanisms in motion to make society unstable, to make people believe that they are unsafe, to make people believe that they need government. This is why they change everything everywhere, so you never really know what's going on. And of course, they can't do that if they don't move populations around, because if you're a long-term population in an area, you're not really going to allow them to change things too much. But if there's new people coming in all the time and new people going all the time, then you don't really know what it was ever like there anyway, so you just accept whatever they give you, and you're more likely to expect change. In fact, you come to expect change. This is why they change the roads around all the time, so you always lose your way in your own city, and you have to remember where you're going all the time. Old people lose track of where they're going all the time, so it helps make them feel old, because everything's different to the way it was a few months ago. It also encourages people to use smartphones and GPSs and all this sort of stuff. And look at interdependence, national interdependence, the way they've done this, the way they move all the industry offshore from all of our countries and get us all dependent on all other countries, so that no country can really function in a fully autonomic state. They're all dependent upon everybody else. No society can function in a fully autonomic state. Everybody is dependent upon everybody else. This is what skilled labour is all about. You go and get skill in one particular field, but you can't do anything else. You get someone who's really good at laying bricks, but he can't do any carpentry. You get a carpenter who's a really good carpenter, but he can't lay a pipe, he can't lay a brick, he can't fix a car. You get a mechanic who's a really good mechanic, but he doesn't know how to build a house. You'll get a gardener who's a really great gardener, but he doesn't know how to fix a car. You'll get a guy who knows how to weld, but doesn't know how to work with wood. You get a guy who knows how to weld, but doesn't know how to work with other forms of steel work. You get people who are all great with all sorts of steel work and know how to make steel, but they don't know how to make a motor or make anything out of the steel. You get people who know how to make a motor and they're really good mechanics and know how to build stuff out of steel, but they've got no idea how to get it out of the ground and smelt it. So everything is specialised, so nobody has any real life skills. Everyone's just good at one thing. And not only are they only good at one thing, but they're generally not allowed to study the other things, or it's very difficult for them to go and study multiple fields of things. The same thing happens in research and study. You want to study something, you want to study math, you become a maths teacher or study math, but they don't want you to look at science, they don't want you to look at religion, they don't want you to look at art, they don't want you to look at all these other things. And if you're studying art, they don't want you to look at science. They don't want you to look at all these other things that you might think are related, but they don't think are. And when you do study these fields, they make it so complicated that it's so difficult to actually learn what you're trying to learn, because there's all this extra stuff there that you don't need. So it takes up half your life to learn one particular skill or study one particular field, when you could have learned all that in a day or a week, but they stretched it out over 5 years so that you'd never actually get to learn anything. And that makes us all interdependent on everybody else. It makes all countries interdependent on all countries. You make sure that when they lock society down and they lock the system down and lock everybody out, no one's really going to know how to do anything. Everyone's going to know how to do one thing, but no one's really going to know how to just get out there in the wild and act like a human being and take care of their life. We've lost all of that. And that's a pretty scary place to be. Think about it, folks. It's a pretty scary place to be. In the last 2 or 3 generations, we've lost all of our life skills, and all the problems that we have exist because they're all legislated to exist. And it's not that there's anything wrong with technology or anything like that, it's just where we have allowed it to lead us. Because you've got to look at technology as well. I mean, look at what is running the technological system, and again, it's economics. And when we allow an economic system to be what governs our lives, and that's all controlled by AI, you've got to really look at it and step back and see where it's going to lead. I mean, what the logical conclusion will be. And it's not going to be anything good. And the interesting thing is that we could stop it if we could just open up our hearts to each other and put down all this economic stuff, stop profiting from each other. We could still have all this technology and lead us to a good point, lead us to a great place. That's the thing about the internet. It's a double-edged sword. This system gives us everything we need to change the world, should we choose to do it. But if we don't, if we make the wrong decision and we hand everything over to it and let it control our lives, then it just leads us to this bad place where the program ends and we have to start again in whatever form that takes. Whether we'll even make it again, because when you look at the Earth, I mean, we've done a lot of damage to it. This system may have well existed many times before, and we may have gone through this cycle many times before and destroyed ourselves many times before, but I think at the end of it we always had resources left. We always had some form of environment left whereby we could carry on again and pick up the pieces and try the experiment again. But with what we've done to the Earth now, it's very unlikely that we're going to have any type of environment left to be able to begin the experiment again. That's the thing, it's an interesting place to be. But again, the system that is enslaving us and the system that is ultimately going to be our demise if we're not careful is at the same time providing us with all the things we need, all the tools we need, all the information we need, all the unity we need, all the connectivity we need to actually be able to take it in a completely different direction if we chose to do so.